What's going on, Purple People podcast fans? Thank you for patiently waiting for those guys in the chat. It is Wednesday, March 13th, and we're here to rock and roll. I'm here with Dorian Foley. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Feel good to be here and talk about some football.
Yeah.
That other handsome fella back there is Adam Carlson. What's up, man?
If you can see past all this orange-red stuff here, I'm back here. And I don't know if you know this, but the Vikings are part of some of this free agency stuff that's going on. It's pretty exciting.
Hey, the lower half of my face joins you in the red craziness, all right? It's like salt and pepper up here and red down here. I don't know what's going on. I'm two different people.
So this week we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to kind of throw the quick hits to the wind, and we're just going to talk about free agency and what's going on with the Vikings and how we're feeling. So hope you guys are ready for a little bit more free form of a show.
Yeah, we apologize. We're all doing crazy schedules and stuff. We're going to try to get back on track.
We hope to have Mr. West back too soon. He picked up a job where he's working weekday nights, so getting him on has been a little bit of trouble. So hopefully we can get him on soon.
Yeah, Kyle started a new job, so glad that he's employed and getting an income and all that good stuff. We'll get him back on. Just a little craziness. Yeah. Luckily, it's not during the season, so we're not missing any big stuff. But free agency's been fun. Just to throw this out before we get too far into the show, this is episode 341, Free Agent Frenzy. Like Adam said, we're just going to spitball on people we lost, people we've gained, and see what we're all feeling about it.
So let's kick things off and say what move, not even Vikings related, I mean NFL related in general, which one free agency move has surprised you guys the most so far?
OBJ to the Browns.
That was the big surprise for you?
I don't know why they got rid of him. I really don't. I see why the Steelers released Antonio Brown or went ahead and traded him, I think. Sorry if I get the terminology wrong. I can see that because it was a little bit of headache. I mean, Odell, Saquon Barkley.
Odell seems like a little bit of a head case as well. And I don't know. I don't think he was happy being on a team that was going to be run first.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest shift, it's crazy because Dorian was talking about it, but I think legitimately if the coaching is there, and we'll see, that's yet to be determined. That's a big, big what if. With all the pieces there and the talent on paper, the Browns are awesome. I mean, they have a lot of good talent.
They do.
I guess we can shift it to – I mean, I want to hear what Adam has to say too, but we lost first thing we'll go here for the Vikings is we lost Sheldon Richardson. Congrats to him for getting paid, especially at that position.
We knew he was going to be a one-year rental. We pretty much knew that when he came in.
We said that last year on the show. Would have liked to have kept him, but with the money situation, that probably wasn't going to be it. But he went to the Browns. They signed Kareem Hunt. I don't know how anybody feels about that, but if he gets to come back, that's an incredible talent. They have Odell Beckham Jr., David Njoku at tight end. Baker Mayfield balled out last year. I mean, they have a pretty good offense, and I think Jarvis Landry works for the Browns as a really good number two. He'll be able to complement and shine more. That teams will have to focus on OBJ. So the Browns, holy crap, man, they look pretty good on paper right now.
They do. They've got a lot of young talent, and if you are starting a franchise pretty much from scratch, this is the way you want to do it.
Yep. You want to build on that rookie quarterback so you don't have to pay all the star players around him and all the skill positions and get everybody on both sides of the ball, grab star players. This is sort of, to me, looking like what the Rams did last year a little bit. You found the rookie quarterback that you want to try to invest in, get him some pieces and see what happens. So this is going to be emulated all over the league now. I think it's going to be the new standard. That's just my opinion. But focusing off the Browns, I think another big one was Le'Veon Bell. I wasn't surprised that Antonio Brown went to the Raiders. I'm pretty surprised that Le'Veon Bell went to the Jets, considering a couple years ago somebody said $80 million in cash right now, come play for the New York Jets. And he's like, you're going to have to pay me a lot more than that. And he ended up not taking that much money to play for a really bad football team compared by standards. So that was pretty crazy. But he just won. A lot of these guys just want to get paid like the NBA players. Let's call it what it is.
Well, the way the NFL works is shifting kind of strangely.
Mm-hmm.
It's moved away from the high dollar contract, and it's all focused now on the guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
Which you got to understand, sure, players want to sign that contract, make sure they know what they're getting, know that if they get hurt, they're still going to get paid well. But the idea that they're missing out on a potentially bigger deal to have that floor being higher for their pay it's a little odd to think about.
Yeah, I believe NFL players, I think they're eventually going to try to work with that collective bargaining agreement in terms of NFL players want to have that same guarantee as NBA players, same as MLB players, where that money is, you sign that contract, X amount, that's just what it is. And I have money no matter what happens. If I'm playing, if I get hurt, I think they really just want that security blanket, that guarantee,
I see nothing wrong with the NFL, putting a flat rate like a third of a player's salary has to be guaranteed.
Well, here's my only thing. I'm glad Dorian brought this up because I want to talk about this. So always promoting the Levitard show on here. I'm not going to lie to you. When I steal stuff from them or get info from them, I got to share it. And I heard Dominique Foxworth, who used to play in the NFL, was talking about how the way the NBA and the NFL is different. And they brought this point up that Dorian's talking about. So we're going to talk about how the NBA is an association. It's in the names and the letters. They really screwed up with this kind of union deal that they have in the NFL. It really screws them on the cap. This should not be a salary cap league because the owners make way more than their employees do. It's kind of stupid. And if they could get that changed, and that's the big question mark and the big enigma in this is, how do you get it to change? What is it going to be? And I think it would take a legitimate year for everybody in the NFL to say, I'm not playing until you give us more money because you make X amount billions of dollars and we only make a small portion of that. The problem is not everybody's getting this guaranteed money. Like we'll just say Earl Thomas just signed with the Ravens. If you didn't know, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in free agency.
Whoa,
yeah,
seriously, what?
Dorian just found out. I'm glad I got to spoil that. But yeah, it was like $50 million deal, $30 million something guaranteed. But it's not everybody's making that salary. And we've made that point on this show before. A lot of these guys are playing for their livelihood, just trying to get some starting role or even the practice squad because it's decent money. So that's how it's got to change. I don't know that it ever will, but they're trying to work towards that direction.
I don't think it will. And one of the most interesting things, since we're going to dive into it anyway, let's talk for a minute about that Anthony Barr deal.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we started out, Vikings fans thought they were losing Anthony Barr to the New York Jets. Now, it made sense. We didn't see any way that the Vikings would be able to afford to bring back Barr, especially since he was probably going to get over $10 million per year. And the Vikings just did not have that kind of cap, even after they got rid of Andrew Sendejo and Mike Remmers, So then the Vikings turn around and somehow they were able to convince Anthony Barr to turn away from the deal that he had made with the Jets to come back to Minnesota on a contract with less money. And we got to talk about this contract for a second because it is the biggest screw job that I've ever seen on a contract in the NFL.
On which side?
The Vikings screwed him over in a massive way. So what they did was they took his contract and they gave him a backloaded contract. What that means is this year, his salary cap is going to be absolutely tiny. And it's going to get bigger as his years go on. Now, when that happens, agents usually work with players to spread that guaranteed money throughout the course of the contract. Right. Anthony Barr's contract is not that way. He gets all of his money in the early years of his contract. That means that towards the end of his deal, when he is making $14, $15 million a year, he has no guaranteed money. He has no real negotiating standpoint for the Vikings to keep him on if they don't want to pay the $15 million because they'll have no guaranteed money to take a hit from the cap. He'll be forced to restructure. So I don't see him ever getting paid for those years at the end of his contract.
I'm not going to say who it is, Dorian. I know that's your boy. There's an unnamed person that I'm not going to talk about that said this is a really stupid move. This just proves that this wasn't a stupid move for the Vikings. I mean, hands down, this proves this isn't a stupid move for them.
Brzezinski, I don't know how he got Barr and his agent to agree to this deal, But it's ridiculous.
It had to be loyalty to want to stay here. I mean, what else is there? If the money's not there, he must really, really enjoy Minnesota and want to be here.
I know he loves playing with Eric Kendricks and the locker room camaraderie, and he really believes this team is close to getting to the Super Bowl and getting a win. He believes that. I trust all that. But it's tough turning down the big payday, and the fact he was willing to do that for this contract that just does not benefit him in almost any way is unbelievable to me.
Wow. My mind is blown. I wish I had something to add on to and try to sound somewhat intelligent, but yeah.
Who takes a backloaded contract with the guaranteed money up front? Well, it's basically a 3-year deal.
I don't know. I guess, like I kept saying, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I guess he just wants to be here. I think honestly, if it's not the money, and we just established that it's not the typical way that things are going right now at the moment, it's got to be the culture, because the Jets aren't winning anything crazy. I mean, they did sign Le'Veon Bell, if you guys didn't hear that. They got him with a lot of money locked up, but you have a rookie quarterback there. You still have the Pats in the division. He didn't want to go play there and just constantly, go 4-12. He must really, really enjoy what Minnesota's doing.
It's the only thing I can see is that as soon as Minnesota found out an offer they could put on the table, it felt like Barr jumped at it.
Mm-hmm. Can we please talk about what we were discussing in the chat too? This beat writer or whoever it was for the Jets trashing Kirk Cousins last year. I'm waiting on the article to come out that tells like how much of a piece of crap Anthony Barr is.
Yeah, keep your eye on the New York Post, because I'm sure there's going to be something. We've got Fire Breather, Ronnie Hippie, and Michael Cambria in the chat, and they are all talking about Anthony Barr, and I don't blame them, because that is definitely the biggest story so far for the Vikings.
Yeah, for sure.
That was three. Going back real quick to the Jets, that's like 3 Vikings that burned the Jets. Kirk Cousins, Anthony Barr, and I believe Marcus Sherrills. I forgot if it was last year or the season before. He was a free agent and he was close to going to the Jets, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go ahead and come back." And so three Vikings that the Jets, tried to
make it 4 with Antoine Winfield.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, you're right. So,
they got the Jets good on Winfield.
Can we add an honorary mention at number 5? He never went there, but can we just talk about Jarius Wright burning the Jets in overtime? That's still one of my favorite plays. Oh no.
All right, so Anthony Barr's contract. The only reason I can see him being excited about this contract is because they've put in escalators in his contract based on his sack production. Now, what I assume this means is that we are going to go back to seeing a lot more of the Vikings in nickel and Barr being used a lot more in pass rush situations. And I think this is great, because that's what the Vikings need to do on defense.
Yep. And prime example of what you're talking about with pass rush Barr versus coverage Barr. Take the year with Teddy Bridgewater, which was a great year when we went to the playoffs. Adrian Peterson led the league in rushing. That was the Blair Walsh year. If you guys need a reference. He was very good that year. Anthony Barr was very good that year. And he was used in this situation that Adam's talking about. Now let's go back to last year when he was using coverage and looking kind of like a fool at points in times, like the Rams game. Awful game for him. Awful game. Yeah. I want to see the Anthony Barr of freshman and sophomore year on the team. That's who I want to see. And if that's what you're telling me, that it looks like this makes sense and this is what it should go to, count me in.
I don't see Barr being happy if the coaches keep wanting to drop him back into coverage. Barr has the speed, if he's a former running back. So it's not like speed is any kind of an issue. He can stay by a defender. The problem is that he's not a cornerback. And with the Vikings reportedly shopping Trey Waynes right now, which, again, that blows my mind. But let's say that actually does happen. Now we've got Mackenzie Alexander probably moving to the outside, Holton Hill, Mike Hughes kind of fighting for some time. It's an odd situation where the Vikings do have the talent at cornerback, but they want to disguise the coverage by having a linebacker drop back. And I don't think the Vikings need that disguise. I think Anthony Barr is good enough of a pass rusher where you don't have to hide that he's coming. Teams should fear his speed and elusiveness to slide off blocks and get to the quarterback. They shouldn't have to worry about misdirection.
I agree 100%.
No doubt.
In my mind, it's just trying to get a little too fancy. That's all.
The only note that I had in here, and I wanted to talk about it now because we're talking about the Vikings reportedly shopping Trey Waynes. Other teams have inquired about Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes. Nothing really has came past the rumors page, but CBS Sports reported that a restructure offer has been submitted to defensive end Everson Griffin. This is huge, man. The three people that I think, and I don't know where they're going to go, but 3 star names that we have. Everson could walk. There's been a bunch of stuff, and you'll have to give me the latest update on Kyle Rudolph, Adam, and then Trey Waynes. I mean, these guys are staples of the team. So I don't know what the update is on these guys, but I don't want to see Trey Waynes leave. I don't.
I understand Minnesota's pretty comfortable. They shouldn't be as comfortable anymore with everything that's been going on with Holton Hill. I know that he's not charged with anything, and he probably won't be. But there could still be some NFL discipline, even if that's just for a week or two. Who knows? But I think Mike Hughes is going to come back healthy, but still, you never know how a player, especially a cornerback, is going to come back from an ACL tear. Mm-hmm. I think people really underestimate how good of a tackler Trey Waynes is and how much he's come along in coverage since he kind of was a little slow off breaks, even though he still is quite a physical cornerback. But I don't know. To me, I don't understand asking Griffin to take a pay cut when he's not even close to anywhere near one of the top paid defensive ends in the NFL anymore, especially for this season. I think he's only making 11 mil, right?
I can look that up.
And as far as defensive ends go, those price tags have gone up to 13, 14 million for elite pass rushers. And Everson Griffin could easily say, I'm a better player than this. I don't deserve to be making so much less than other players at my position that have less production.
Can they do a contract with him where they restructure? It's like, okay, well, we'll give you this, and then
oh, sure,
he agrees with it. Okay, I'll go ahead and play like this year, but then this season out, and then maybe like we'll come back to the table the following season to.
This is where our conversation earlier fits in well. Everson Griffin could restructure his contract, lower himself to be making about $8 million a year, maybe, and maybe push a little bit more guaranteed money into the contract. And as we were talking about guaranteed money, that's the new premium. So Minnesota could offer that, tack a couple years onto the contract, add some more guaranteed money, and that could be very appealing to a player who's getting a little older. Wants a little bit more security in his contract. I get that. That would make sense for me. And I hope that that's kind of what they're approaching him about. Not an outright pay cut, just some sort of restructuring.
So here we have it, 4-year, $58 million contract. There's going to be $34 million guaranteed. As of 2019, his base salary is $10,900,000, $400,000 signing bonus, and cap hit is 11,743,750. So just shy of 12 mil. Dead cap is $1.2 million.
Yeah, I don't see them cutting him for the 1 million dead cap. I don't know. I just don't see the value in getting rid of one of your premier pass rushers. I know that they really like Stephen Weatherly. I know that Bauer is an up and comer. They've got talent at defensive tackle or defensive end. And I think they're kind of looking at this the same way with cornerbacks. I think they see Minnesota has all these cornerbacks, so why not shop one since we drafted one and we're getting younger at the position. But I don't know. To me, I see pass rusher and cornerback as two of the premier positions in the NFL where you need depth and talent. And I would rather see something happen elsewhere or address the issue in the draft and see what else happens. Because right now the Vikings' priorities have to be pretty simple. They need to sign a guard, one guard veteran, cheap, whatever it is. If they can get Nick Easton back, that's great. Bring him in to compete for one of those starting jobs. Then look to the draft and draft another one. They can push each other, and we can see what happens for each spot. Who knows? They need to find a kicker. Now, this kicker doesn't have to be the day one starter for the Vikings in 2019, but it's got to be someone who can either compete with a late draft pick or an undrafted free agent for the job. After that, they need to re-sign, and I know that they tendered him. They tendered Anthony Harris. Now, what they need to do is whatever offer teams put on him, they have to be able to match it. And the problem is that, well, the positive thing is that there are still quite a few safeties in free agency. The safeties that went in free agency are already going to the teams that need them. So a lot of the bigger need teams are already sorting through things and making sure that they've got what they need. And I don't think that they're going to risk giving up a draft pick to get Anthony Harris, because they'll have to put a big old contract with it.
Good for us.
So get back Harris, sign Easton, get a kicker. And really, I don't see a lot of other massive positions of need for the Vikings. The signing of Shamar Stephen is underrated. Shamar was a starter for the Seahawks last year. He started for Minnesota before he left. He may not be Sheldon Richardson, but he could be Sheldon Richardson light, and I don't think they need an elite player there. I think they can draft a player early, maybe in the first 3 rounds, to come in and compete, because this has been this draft is full of talent when it comes to the pass rushing defensive tackles. So they can wait. They could even get a really good one in round 2 if they wanted to make sure they got an offensive lineman in round 1, or if one of the elite offensive defensive tackles from that they think is going to go in round 1 drops to round 2, and they're sitting there, or drops to 18 when the Vikings pick. The Vikings can pick defensive a tackle there and go offensive line with round 2. There are options there, and I don't think this team has as many needs as people want to make you think. Wide receiver would be nice, but there's some talented young wide receivers on the roster. Cornerback, plenty of depth. Defensive ends, you're good. They could use someone to push Gideon for linebacker, but I think they've already got that in Eric Wilson.
What about running back? We lost Latavius Murray.
That was one of the ones we're getting to here.
Oh,
Now, there are some interesting options in the draft for running backs. Latavius Murray, if you didn't catch it, Murray is reportedly signing with the New Orleans Saints. He'll be pairing with Alvin Kamara, and it should be good for them there because he is a reliable hard runner. He'll complement that offense well. I don't think they're going to miss Ingram that much with him there, so good for them for getting the guy they want. But this does leave a hole at the backup running back for the Vikings. I don't think they can really trust Mike Boone to be the backup right now. A lot of Vikings fans are taking to Twitter right now because who was it that just signed with San Francisco at running back?
Oh, damn it. I can't remember. Let me check.
Because what happened was that San Francisco just picked up a guy in free agency, and there's no guaranteed money left on Jerick McKinnon's contract. So word on the street is that McKinnon might be getting the axe.
Wow.
I think he would have – I think that – Tevin Coleman, that's who they signed from the Falcons.
Yep.
Whoa.
I'd be okay with Jerick McKinnon coming back. I love that kid.
Yes.
The problem is that McKinnon may still want a more high-profile gig, more of a chance to start, and he knows he's not going to get that in Minnesota.
All right. Are you guys ready for the hot take of the show?
Sure.
I'm ready.
I'd be okay with signing Adrian Peterson back if he did like he did with Washington and took the veteran minimum.
Well, he already got $4 million a year for his 2 years.
Oh.
To return to Washington, right? It was 2 years, $8 million.
Oh, did he say he was going to cut? Is he already committed to Washington?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, saw that rumor floating around, and I let it simmer for about 5 minutes. I was driving. I was like, you know
See, you waited too long. That 5 minutes. See, this is why it's a frenzy. So much going on, so much to talk about. We haven't even talked about the Vikings putting a tender down on Rashad Hill, which, again, a very underrated move. It's an original right of refusal tender. They can match whatever another team has, and he'll come to Minnesota. Or if they don't match, that's fine too. He can go to whatever team. But I know that I say this a lot. The backup / swing tackle position is important because those offensive tackles, they usually have roughed up knees. They're getting roughed around, punched all the time, beat up. You often do see those backup swing tackles coming into games, especially when needed. And yeah, they wanted Rashad Hill to be the starter at right tackle last year. Guess what? Brian O'Neill came in when Hill got injured up a bit, and O'Neill ain't giving up a starting job. Ain't happening. And I still don't buy the hype. I don't buy it. Riley Reef, I don't buy that he's moving to guard. Don't buy it one bit. I still think he's going to be the left tackle. I still think Brian O'Neill's going to be at right. And I think that they're going to be able to retain Hill to be the swing tackle. And then they can draft another player so that Aviante Collins doesn't have to be anywhere near the roster anymore.
Yeah, we can go ahead and close that chapter of the book.
All right, so what else do we got going on here in Vikings news?
Let's see. We talked about Sheldon Richardson's gone. We talked about Latavius Murray leaving the team. We mentioned we already touched on the safety spot. So they put a second round tender, like Adam said, on Anthony Harris, which would point to him being on the team.
It almost guarantees he's going to stick around unless, like I said, that contract comes through and there's a team with a big enough need at safety. But I just don't see it.
Well, that'll transition to Anderson Dejo. He's been a fan favorite for a while. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, the injury bug has gotten him, whether it be a hamstring or concussions in 2017. Last time I saw him play really well was the Saints game on the divisional round. He was balling out. And unfortunately got a concussion that game. He was strung up with some injuries last year. So Anderson Dejo will be on the market. I don't see him being on the team next year.
No.
Unless it's for cheap, which I don't see that. I don't see why that would happen. Yeah, you mentioned we have to find a kicker, man. I really don't know. Who the hell's going to be kicking for this team? Do you think Dan Bailey's coming back? That's a good question to ask.
No.
I'd say yes.
Think so?
I would hope so. Hey.
I don't think they're going to pay $3.5 to $4 million for a kicker.
So we got to go fishing again and draft a kicker?
No. Undrafted.
Maybe. I think they're going to sign a kicker in free agency that's just dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And have him compete with some rookie, whether it's a late draft pick or an undrafted free agent. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I don't see the Vikings having that kind of money to throw around. And as much as it sounds stupid that they'd wait and throw another that the $2 million to get a more reliable kicker ain't worth it. But that's sort of the NFL mentality now. I'd love to be able to throw money down and get these great kickers. When Will Lutz was available, I'd have loved the Vikings to throw $6-7 million down and get Will Lutz. That'd have been great.
Well, guys, I got great news because ESPN just gave me a great update. And the way that they worded this, I mean, how can you turn this down? Bortles is officially a free agent from Jacksonville. If you guys didn't hear, Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, is going to be the quarterback in Jacksonville for the next 4 years. Jaguars released quarterback Blake Bortles, semicolon, leads the NFL in turnovers since entering the league in 2014.
Wow.
Man, way to shit on that guy.
And to think he might be the Vikings' backup quarterback next year.
God. I swear to God, there couldn't be anything worse than what we watched in preseason with Trevor Siemian. Like, who's historically, is he as bad as when we watched Josh Freeman quarterback a game once? I mean, it was pretty fucking bad, right?
Yeah, it was bad. It wasn't Freeman bad, but it was bad.
It was really, really bad. Oof.
No, and yes, I would rather have Blake Bortles than Trevor Siemian.
Oh, damn. But yeah, that backup spot, it's got to be someone. The team doesn't really seem to be trusting their quarterback 3 from last year. And Kyle Sloter, I think, looked good enough to get a chance to push for it. But I don't know. It sounds like they want to bring someone in, and I don't know if they're going to have the money.
Crazy.
Yeah, hopefully this doesn't turn into one of those years where we find like a Sean Hill and like, man, if the quarterback goes down, we're fucked. hopefully that's not. Hopefully we can figure out a way. But I just want to give a shout out to former Viking quarterback Case Keenum. For whatever reason, and I don't understand this. Let's just shit on the Broncos for 2 minutes. John Elway, being the prolific guy that he is, and he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and now what is he, the GM?
General manager? Yeah.
Besides the Peyton Manning thing, which was huge because that really is a good part of their legacy.
But you're not going to miss on Peyton Manning.
No, and I'm sure when him and Elway sat down and had a scotch or whatever, they're like, hey, whatever the hell you want, we'll make it happen. We're going to win some Super Bowls. But aside from that, he just whiffed and bombed on the quarterback position. Like
bad.
And now they think that they're going to go revive Joe Flacco for some stupid reason when you could have kept Case Keenum for cheap. Case Keenum was the whole point of this story. He's in Washington now. I really, really like this for him. I really do. I'm happy that he's getting another chance to start. So shout out.
Is he though?
I think I would assume so.
Alex Smith isn't looking good.
Alex Smith's not going to play football.
Well, they didn't commit to Alex Smith at the end of the season, though. I mean, they rolled with who the hell was it?
Mark Sanchez?
No.
Not Colt. It's not Colt McCoy. He's not going to lose out to Colt McCoy.
Yeah, Colt McCoy. They put their confidence in Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy got injured too.
He'll get beat out by Case Keenum.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, you don't make that signing. In my opinion, you don't make that signing unless he's coming in to start.
Because McCoy fit their system pretty well. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how things work out. But I think Keenum is a better quarterback. But I've seen players that I've thought were better than other players at one positions anyway. So who knows?
I'm taking this from 40-year-old virgin. You want to know how I know that Case Keenum was going to work out in Denver?
How's that?
Because John Elway called him Case Keesum when he introduced him.
Good point. Also wanted to bring back around, since we have we went over a lot of the major stuff for the Vikings in free agency. A former Viking, and now I can't fucking believe I'm saying this, Super Bowl champion Cordero Patterson is back in the NFC North. He is apparently going to sign with the Chicago Bears. So
2 years, $10 million. What are they? Yep. What did he do to earn $5 million a year?
Be a return specialist and drop passes from Tom Brady, I guess.
Oh, that's wow.
I mean, good for him, dude. Like, really,
kickoffs are irrelevant now. He runs 2 routes, one of them badly.
One of them really badly. Like, dude, let's just break football down for half a second. And I say this a lot on the show, but I want you guys to emphasize, because we're not any better than any of you guys that watch on YouTube. I'm far from what Adam has as far as football knowledge. I'm trying to slowly gain stuff over the years. I've watched these slant routes, and if you want to watch a good route runner in general, watch Adam Thielen. He's incredible. Stephon Diggs is pretty damn good too. But if I do route running and I have to support the Vikings here, I think of Adam Thielen. And I watch him break on slants, him or Diggs, just interchange those. And they're so crisp on their cut. And then I watched Cordero Patterson through the playoffs, and it looked like a rainbow. I can't for the life of me figure out how you're that big and that fast, but you just can't plant your foot. Like I don't get it.
The thing is we've seen him shift on returns. We know he can change direction fast.
That's with the ball already in his hands, though. Here's a wild thought, and I know they're needy at this position. Here's a wild thought. Remember how the Packers turned what's his name from wide receiver, Ty Montgomery?
Oh, yeah.
Wide receiver, right back. Why not give it a shot?
Well, the Bears have been known to throw some gadget plays in the mix, so maybe they'll drop some plays for him, try to get things going with him, kind of stop up their offense a little bit to try to get some production out of him. I don't know. To me, I think that those kind of plays just interrupt the flow of a game on offense and are more of a distraction than a help, but Chicago doesn't seem to mind doing that, so maybe it's the right place for him. I don't know. We've got some questions in the chat here, by the way.
Okay.
One is a prediction from Scott Schwab, who says, speaking of backup quarterbacks, my bold prediction is that Teddy will be our QB2 this season. And no, because Teddy is going to be starting in Miami.
What?
Teddy Bridgewater has reportedly put the offer from the Saints on the back burner, and he has planned a visit with the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, good for him, man.
For him, that'll be nice.
He gets to go home, maybe.
That's really cool.
I'm happy for him too. It's a great situation for him. He can have an opportunity to start. He can be home with his family and friends. He can get a chance to prove to people that he can be successful in this league again. It's just a really, really good situation for him, and I'm excited. As much as sitting behind Drew Brees is great, and you can learn so much, Teddy Bridgewater is one of the smartest players in the game. He absorbs everything so well. One of the things that we always praised him for was his football knowledge. So I'm excited to see what he can do in Miami. I know it's not a signed, sealed, delivered deal down there. He still could decide to go to the Saints, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to leave Miami and go back.
It's the first time hearing of this, so this is really exciting.
Yeah,
I liked him, man. I really did.
So Scott, sorry, man. I don't think he's going to be coming back to Minnesota, even if you do invite him to your birthday party. We've got, let's see, what else do we have here? Hobna says, could you guys see Trey Waynes moving to safety some in his career? The answer for me there is no. No, I don't see it. I don't even think that they would use him as a nickel corner. The best place to use him is on the outside, where he can cut off the field, where he can still be in run support. Mm-hmm. I don't think safety is the best place for him, even though he's got the speed to pull it off. I do think that he's going to be an outside corner wherever he goes and whatever he does.
I agree with you there. A lot of people ask me about that. Some of my friends, shout out to my boy Chuck. I was him in El Paso. He's a real cool guy. He always asks me about, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? He wasn't big on Trey Waynes for a while, but he said, you think we're going to be all right if we keep Waynes? I said, I hope to God we do. So,
by the way, Fire Breather, we don't say that name in here because that name starts fights.
What? So
leave that one out of the chat there.
What?
Moving on. Let's see what else we've got here.
Moving on my butt. What do you say?
Fire Breather does not want to be reminded of Josh Freeman, and I don't blame him. That is a situation that nobody wants to be a part of.
Think about this. That was a decision that people thought was a good idea that got paid millions of dollars. That's insane.
Time again, Kyle, it wasn't that it was a bad move to bring in Josh Freeman. It was a horrible move to bring in a guy a couple of weeks and then start him on Monday Night fucking Football.
I'm just saying, Sam Bradford did it, and he outplayed Aaron Rodgers one year, and then Drew Brees the next. I don't know what the hell they saw in the dude. But then again, I was very naive at the time, and I was like, oh my God, we got Josh Freeman. This is going to be great.
Well, he had a season or two where he looked really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I could see them wanting to test the potential, see what he still had, kick the tires a bit, but that's not how you do it.
Here, Fire Breather, I'm going to answer all your burning questions. What is Josh Freeman doing at the current moment? While we do some more questions.
Fire Breather wants to know, hey, Kyle, did we get rid of Laquan Bustwell yet?
Oh, I fucking wish, man.
Oh, I have something to add to that. Yeah, we might be in for another season with Laquan Treadwell active. Gary Kubiak apparently has taken a very liking to Laquan Treadwell and has plans for one Laquan Treadwell heading into this season.
Yeah, they're not going to cut him. They're not going to throw away that guaranteed money on his contract. They're not going to give up their first round draft pick hopes that he'll turn into something. Last year was better for him, and we say each year that he's kind of getting a little bit better and a little bit better. I still don't know if he's wide receiver 3 potential, but right now the Vikings don't have a lot of other options as far as what to do.
Yeah, so we're fucking stuck, but whatever.
Now, like I said before, though, the Vikings do have some talented up-and-coming young wide receivers. Whether you like Chad Beebe, I know I do. I'm a fan of the guy. I like watching him. He's good route runner, tough player. They are there. So all it'll take is hopefully some more development, and maybe they'll realize that, hey, Treadwell's good, but we got to see what these young guys got in these games.
Man, we got to get our jerseys out. January 12th, 2018, the day before his 30th birthday, he signed a 2-year contract with the Alouettes. On May 26, 2018, Josh Freeman retired from professional football. Man, what a sad, sad day.
Not a good day at all.
Oof.
Now, we do have a couple other re-signings to talk about, or at least one. Oh, well, we got two, I guess. CJ Ham returning to the team as the fullback. It was another nice veteran minimum contract, 1 year. They're going to bring him in, and honestly, his salary will be so low that it won't count against the cap. So basically a freebie. And I like him. I like him being a sneaky pass catcher out of the backfield. I like them using him in situations where they need a hard runner. He's a decent enough fullback. I'm not going to say he's got elite blocking skills, but they're solid. They're all right.
You know what's crazy about the Vikings, too? We've had all this shit luck with, like, drafting receivers in the first round and, like, whiffing on quarterbacks or something crazy happens to them. We've had some pretty damn good fullbacks that have came through in the last, 5 years.
Yep, very true.
That's pretty crazy, man. I like CJ Ham a lot. I'm glad he's going to stay.
Now, the next one has had some people a little confused. The Vikings brought back Matt Weil, and again, this was a minimum deal. So the value is there, and I don't know if people didn't realize this or not. I posted it up in our chat for the podcast on Facebook that Matt Weil is actually the Vikings' career leader in average yards per punt.
Wow.
So I know it's only one season, so there's a small sample size, but he had a really good year punting. I still put that big question mark when it comes to him as a holder because I know he's still kind of learning and developing there, getting the experience, and I hope that's something that they really work on him with the new special teams coordinator, because I don't believe the fault was with the kickers the whole time. I can't buy it that many kickers struggle. Dan Bailey comes over and struggles. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, that would have to be a series and string of really, really bad luck. A lot of that's not just coincidence, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, those two signings came through. We got the 2 tags that were placed, which I'm glad the Vikings didn't use the franchise tag or the transition tag, especially on Barr. If they'd used that franchise tag on Barr during negotiations, there's no way they would have ended up with the contract they did for him. So I'm glad that worked out the way it did. Otherwise, we got the draft approaching. The Vikings, of course, did get their compensatory picks guaranteed. We talked about that last week, where now they've got 8 picks in the draft. And that's exciting to me because to me, the NFL draft is almost the Super Bowl. I gather up with my friends. We're always watching the TV. We're guessing who we think is going to get picked, wondering what needs the teams have. It's one of the best times of the year for me. Free agency's close, though. This is really good. I love the excitement that it takes to just watch these players find new homes, wonder how they'll fit. And so far, the Vikings haven't had a lot of those picks yet. They've signed familiar free agents, whether it's from their team or another. And I don't think anything's really been super splashy, but that drama that went along with the Barr situation and bringing back Shamar Stephen, I guess, are the 2 big things to hit on out of this whole ordeal.
So sorry. My internet just cut out on me. Whew. You guys have no idea. Like, sorry, I don't mean to whine about that in the show. We get ready. We've been lacking on the shows, whatever. I get on here earlier just to make everybody in the chat laugh, and my camera doesn't work. So, oh, man, super frustrating.
Yeah, it's been a little frustrating getting things going. We are going to try to go a little more often on Wednesdays. So hopefully that'll be a little bit more consistent, a little easier. We can start planning things a little bit better. So fingers crossed that works out. And hopefully we can get Mr. West on here sometimes, because I miss talking with that guy. He's got some good football takes, and him and I don't always agree. So I like getting a little bit of that conversation going back and forth.
Oh, for sure. All the personalities on here, man. That makes the show.
All right, so let's open things up a little bit here, and let's go a little more freeform. Who should be the next free agent the Vikings sign?
Free agents.
Yep, you can tell us in the chat too.
Man, I don't know. I don't know that. I honestly, if we have the cap, and it obviously won't be anybody that's like a superstar, but I mean, if you could knock out a lineman now, I think it would alleviate some questions in the draft because I know this is not a popular take among most Facebook Viking fans out there in the realm, but if we didn't go offensive line first round, they wouldn't be pissed about it. You know, a lot of people are going to be like, "Give me Rick Spielman's head. He didn't draft a lineman." Now, I do think that's where we're going to go because I think the way that everything's going to fall, there's going to be a handful of those good offensive linemen. Hopefully, they'll be in the spot that we're picking. But if we could get a lineman in free agency that's pretty reputable at a good price, I'd be really happy with that. Because like you said earlier, I don't really see a big need somewhere else. And I think they'll worry about the kicker situation later. So,
yeah, kicker right now you've got Jason Myers and Stephen Gostkowski, who should be close to the top, and I don't think the Vikings can afford to bring either of them in. The rest of them kind of have question marks there. You've got Cairo Santos, Cody Parkey, Mike Nugent, Chandler Cantazzaro, Kai Forbath, Harrison Butker, Nick Rose. Just kind of question marks surrounding those players. And then you've got the older kickers like Matt Bryant and Phil Dawson, who are both 44. And it kind of makes you wonder if the Vikings are just going to roll with a rookie and just see what happens, or if they are going to get a competition kicker to come in. Because if they get a competition kicker, it's going to be someone like Chandler Cantazzaro, who may not have the best track record of kicking, but should provide some competition. I don't know. I would love to say that it's going to be a kicker. And it probably will be. I just have no idea what one.
I wouldn't be mad about it. I didn't mind having Dan Bailey. Not really sure.
I wouldn't mind bringing Kai back, but they don't sound like doesn't sound like Kai and them ended on the best of terms.
Correct. Yeah. And like I was saying with Bailey, I really enjoyed having Bailey around. He struggled a little bit, but let's be real, man. Kicking's just not guaranteed anymore like it used to be 5 years ago. It's just not. I can't figure out why. Honestly, I mean, you move it back a little bit, maybe on the PATs, but I don't understand what's going on there. But this is pretty interchangeable. I don't care. I'm kind of with Adam on that. Whoever they sign on the cheap that doesn't miss more than they make, I'm pretty okay with.
I'll say the same.
We've got some questions in the chat about Nick Easton. Scott Schwab says, I thought Easton was still under contract, and no, he is not. He's an unrestricted free agent for 2019. He has already expressed feelings that he would love to return to Minnesota, that he likes it here, and I think that they could get him a little cheaper than his $2.914 million contract from last year. I think they could get him in for about $2.5 million, considering he's coming off an injury. And I think if you can sign him for 2019 for $2.5 million, that would be a great deal.
Nice.
That's where I see that. Ronnie Hippie wanted to know if we've re-signed him, and no, we have not yet. But I think that is what the Vikings are working on next. I know that they want to bring in an offensive lineman. They were talking for a while about being interested in Zadarius Smith. Is that the guy that they said they had some interest in?
Zadarius Smith. Who's that?
Offensive tackle.
I don't remember this name. I have no idea.
Oh, no, Jawan James. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah, but he ended up going to Denver for 4 years for $51 million. That was a pipe dream there. The Vikings were never going to be able to afford that. And plus, I still don't believe that the Vikings are after an offensive tackle. I don't buy it.
It should be.
You think we're going to go after a guard?
I think it's going to be a guard. I think it's going to be a player who can play any position on the interior of the offensive line. If they get Nick Easton back, I think it's going to be almost a pure guard that's big enough to move outside to right tackle. I think that it's all going to be really dependent on who this free agent guard they sign is. And I hope they get Easton back so that he can be the backup center. And I hope that they can get a big-bodied guy to play that right guard position, plow through people, and be able to be an emergency right tackle maybe if needed. I'm actually okay if he doesn't go over to the left side and be a pass blocker because right now I think the major focus of the Minnesota Vikings needs to be getting that run game going and succeeding, especially considering the coaching staff they brought in. Now, Ronnie Hippie says Easton can play both guard and tackle, right? I don't think Nick Easton will ever play tackle with the Vikings. Now, I know that they like him at both guard and center, and he has started at both spots, and he's one heck of a smart football player. The problem is that he's coming off that injury. I think teams are going to be hesitant to pick him up, even though he has had some really good games with the Vikings. So hopefully Nick Easton will be able to come back to Minnesota, help out, contribute at multiple spots if needed, and just do what the team needs him to do. Open up options in the draft and allow them to look at maybe a left guard, maybe a right guard, because Easton can play either side and he can play either side well.
I remember when we acquired Nick Easton and Adam was so hyped.
Oh, I was lit up about it.
You were so hyped about it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, if Adam signs off on this guy, then he's got to be good. And everything that you just said, I'm never said anything about an offensive lineman being out. I mean, I think we might have said it about Pat Elflein. So we're like, man, I can't wait for him to get back. But, yeah, I'm really excited and hope that this happens where he stays with us, man. I really am.
Especially when both sides want to make it happen.
Oh, for sure.
And that's why I believe this deal will get done. It's because we've already seen the Vikings say they'd love to have him back. We've seen Easton say in interviews that he would love to be in Minnesota. This is a deal that has to happen, right?
Yeah, it's got to. You just got to let Slick Rick do his job and put the faith.
So let me change my answer from it being probably a kicker to being Nick Easton and then a kicker.
Nick Easton
first.
Kicker. Okay.
Scott Schwab is in the chat talking about Shamar Stevenbrick coming back, and I think that's a great signing on the cheap. I think that they got themselves a starting caliber defensive tackle. I still think they're going to draft someone to push him a bit, but it's something to get excited about anyway. It's filling a need, which I think the Vikings do well, and they're filling that need with a familiar face, which makes it even better. So free agency frenzy pretty much has the frenzy part has seen a lot of big names go. And so far it's been pretty exciting. There's still a lot of names out there, but the Vikings don't have a lot of salary cap. I don't see them going out spending a lot of money to pick up players like, I don't know, Clay Matthews. I don't see that happening.
No, no, and quite frankly, I'm all right. Clay Matthews is still a great player, but I'm okay.
Wow, I can't believe he's a free agent.
He, low key, he has been pretty horrible for the Packers the last couple of years. Even my Packer fan friends just get upset when they watch him play. They said we need someone younger, someone faster. And yeah, he gets a lot of attention when he gets a sack. And yeah, that one sack that he had got played over and over and over when, it should have been pass interference. It's the NFL, or should have been roughing the quarterback. It's the NFL these days. Those roughing the quarterback penalties are going to come in who knows when. They're going to get thrown all the time. We just kind of got to get used to it. But yeah, that's essentially all I've got. There are still, like I said, some really good free agents out there the Vikings could be interested in. But the question is whether or not they'll be able to pick them up. Of course, it's probably going to be the team looking at a backup running back. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the touchdown wire. I wanted to end with that too and just see if anything popped up. The best remaining free agents as free agency actually begins. And I just want to throw some names out there to keep the show going just a tad bit longer. But Lions defensive end, Ezekiel Ansah, he's going to be out there. It's a nice little page where you've got to click every one. So maybe I'll just go through a couple of these. Justin Houston. Oh, no. The Chiefs let go of D Ford. That's who it was. D Ford went to the 49ers. Justin Houston, he got released. Eric Berry was released today by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's some names floating out there. Clinton Dix is going to be leaving Washington after they signed Landon Collins from the Giants. We'll do one more on here. Outside linebacker KJ Wright from the Seahawks. I'm sure he would demand a pretty good payday there. This is Holman. Nope. He left to go to the 49ers today. So a couple of names that are out there. Nobody that I see that would jump off the radar that we absolutely need, though.
I'd say the Vikings are probably looking at TJ Lang at guard. In the past, the Vikings have shown interest in Andy Levitra, although he's going to be 33. He got a really big contract when he went to Atlanta. It'll be interesting to see what his age 33 contracts are going to be like. But my guess is that the Vikings are going to shoot him over some insulting number, and hopefully he takes it. Oh, this is sad. I mean, the nice thing is that, as I said before, most of the Vikings' needs now are depth. So what we're looking at is that we're looking at Minnesota to sign some backups. There's still the starters needed on the offensive line. But otherwise, I feel really good about this team. I really hope they don't move Trey Waynes. I do hope that they put Barr in more pass rush situations and coverage. And there are still plenty of reasons to get really excited about this team. The basic reasons are, of course, changes in the coaching staff, another year for Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. And I don't know, to me, there's still all that positivity floating around. And I know that fans love when teams make big splashes in free agency, but don't get upset when you don't see the Vikings going out after the top tier names or trying to cut all their players to bring in one big name on a big money contract. Just relax. Let's see where things work out. I think that we're going to see a really casual approach to the rest of free agency for Minnesota. Then we're going to see things kick up for the draft. I would love to see Minnesota use a lot of their picks in the draft to trade up to get some more talent earlier in the draft, because they have 4 picks in rounds 6 and 7. And I don't think you're going to get a lot of top tier talent there. If they could use that as ammunition to move up and grab the players they want, that would be exceptional. But yeah, like I'm saying right now, don't get too frustrated that Minnesota isn't signing the guy that you want them to. Just relax and let's see how things are working out.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, man. Okay, let me play that guy. I don't want to say devil's advocate, but let me play that guy. Okay. If we do deal Trey Waynes,
yeah,
who would you like for the Vikings to get in return? Or what would you like, whether it's picks or players or a position? Like, what would you want the compensation? What would you be good with that you accept?
Now, this is kind of a loaded question because the 5th-year deal of Trey Waynes, all his money is guaranteed now. His entire 5th-year option is guaranteed as of today. So any team that picks him up is going to be paying him his entire $9 million. So that already is going to turn off quite a few teams. So you've got a cornerback at $9 million, and you've already got an established set of players who have gone before him that have gotten significantly less. So you're looking at, realistically, I think Minnesota could get a 3rd and a 6th for Trey Waynes. And I don't think that's anywhere near worth it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want him to be dealt, but I just thought I'd just throw that out there just for fun's sake, just to get that take in.
I didn't hate the question.
Oh, it's not. It's a really key question because it gets more complicated with the salary implications and the track record for trades of cornerbacks. It really does put the Vikings behind the 8 ball that they weren't able to sign him to a deal and then trade him, or work out something to where they could have gotten a deal for him before the money became guaranteed. Now it's just going to be a lot harder for them to really find a team willing to take on that salary pay him the entire thing and have 1 year left. So I don't know. It's going to be tough. And I hope that they are going to be a little more stingy because I love the depth at cornerback the Vikings have. I think Mike Hughes is going to be a stud, but he's coming off an injury. Holton Hill's kind of got that question mark by him right now, which might not even be a question mark. Who knows? Mackenzie Alexander's coming off a year where he's looked fantastic. I love the cornerback situation right now. If it were to be without Trey Waynes, I think they'd be okay, but not as good. I prefer, of course, to keep it all as close as possible. But hey, it's going to be the Vikings front office. I'm not sure what they'd even do with the $9 million they free up from moving him, but I don't even know because free agent guards, I don't know if there's one worth throwing $9 million at.
Okay.
Are you going to give $9 million to Andy Levitre or Chance Warmack or DJ Fluker? You're just not going to. You're sure as hell not going to give it to, Tom Johnson or Brett Jones.
Hard pass.
Yeah, and even Brian Witzman is a free agent, the guard that the Vikings had on the practice squad. So I don't even know what's going on anymore. But they got to get some depth there. They got to get some talent there. I expect the Vikings to use at least 2 draft picks on offensive linemen. But yeah, it's going to be a mess.
I think that'll appease the fans. I would like to see, like I said earlier, a free agent move for someone, a vet somewhere. But maybe that comes in the form of keeping Nick Easton, and then we get 2 more and call it.
Like I said, if they could bring Easton back for $2.5 million, that would be fantastic. Even 3 years, $9 million. Okay, sure.
Speaking of happy offensive lines, we didn't even talk about this in the show. Mike Rimmers is no longer with the Vikings, so wash our hands of that awfulness. Which is honestly, man, after watching him play the Super Bowl, I don't know why the hell we went after him anyways. But hey,
yeah, I'm a little glad that they moved on from him. He was he had one game where he got my game ball because he stepped up and played really well. Otherwise, he was a weekly candidate for donkey every week. He was an easy target. I wonder who had more, him or Treadwell.
Ugh.
We got to start keeping track of these so we can give away like the most donkeys award and tag them on Twitter and say congratulations and
Donkey of the year.
You are the Purple People Podcast Donkey of the Year.
Donkey of the Year. That was last year for sure.
But that would not be classy, and we are a classy show.
Right.
Yeah, we are.
So I guess that's all we have for this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
It covers the bases, man. If you just go on NFL.com, if you've missed out, there's a ton of changes.
Go on the Viking Age. It's a great free agency tracker on there.
If you want to keep up with all the Viking news, that's the place to go. When I was doing the notes before the show, trying to contribute, I don't say we did any notes because it's a free form, but that's my go-to spot to keep everyone up to date. You can find a lot of interesting different points of view on there. So I have to plug it for Adam. I really do enjoy that website.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. And I do want to thank all you guys because we've been having a lot of success lately. We are pushing the absolute top Vikings websites in terms of page views and visitors. So you guys are visiting it, you're sharing it, you're loving it, you're subscribing it, you're leaving comments, and I love all that. So thank you guys so much. And I also got to kind of push Undead Walking a little bit. I'm personally still loving season 9 of The Walking Dead. I kind of fell out of it a little bit for season 7 and 8, but I am so back into it now. I'm already excited for next week, and I hear next week's episode is going to be an intense one with some emotional stuff going on. So I hope you zombie lovers are ready for having someone to hold next to you and maybe some tissues. I don't know.
I'm going to do a shameless plug here, and I have one of our challenge.
I was hoping you would because I read about your event coming up, so we got to hear about this.
Which one was that?
The dog training seminar, right?
Yes. So it's going to be in July, but I have a nice little challenge coin here. If you have anybody in your family that's military, they'll understand these things are just kind of part of the heritage to give who you are. Go follow NCK9 over on Instagram, even though Instagram and Twitter and WhatsApp and Facebook is all crashed right now. If you guys didn't know, by the way, the World Wide Web is in a frenzy right now. It's a lot of weird shit going on with social media apps. But anyways, when you get a chance, look us up on Instagram or Facebook, NCK9 LLC. It's going to have the state of North Carolina's flag in there. I'm over here right now. We're training police dogs and house pets. And I'm not telling you it's in business my way. And I'm probably not going to stay with this company just because it's so small. And no offense to my boss. It's just one of those where he wouldn't be able to afford me. But if he lands a nice contract to train a lot of dogs, I would love to stay here. I love this company. And I just like helping small businesses. And I want to see his social media page grow because a lot of the stuff that he puts on Instagram is coming from my phone and my camera and trying to beef it up. So, yeah, if you're a fan of dogs, and I have to plug this today because it's National Canine Veterans Day. So shout out to all my former working dogs and all my canine friends around the world. Yeah, go give NCK9 a like and just get them up on Instagram and Facebook. That'd be really appreciated.
And speaking of social media, we love it when you guys hit us up on our Facebook and our Twitter whenever possible. Let us know what's going on. I actually don't know if we've monitored Twitter in a while. Have we monitored Twitter in a while? Have we tweeted anything in a while?
We have to ask Mr. West.
I haven't. I've been slacking really hard on Instagram, too. I just posted something on there the other day. So, yeah, I try to keep it as up-to-date as I can.
Now, we have been slacking, too, though. So I do have to apologize to the winner of our Purple People podcast, Survival League. I finally sent out my package. I believe he's got a second one coming from Mr. West here a little bit later on. But I think he'll like the prize package I put together this year. It's a little different than the ones I put together in the past, but I actually think there's more value in this one.
He got a lot of cool shit, guys. We keep it amongst ourselves in here. And if you want to win this year coming up in 2019, it's free. It's something we do for the show. You'll see a lot of these other bigger pages that have like a Patreon or ask for money and stuff like that. We don't ask for any money here from any of you guys. Just word of mouth, spread the page around. But out of the goodness of all of our hearts, we will get cool shit to send you. And I can honestly say, as a Viking fan, with the stuff that was sent out to the winner, I would be super stoked to get this. And all you got to do is join the Survival League and monitor your stuff and beat Adam. He's really good at it.
I gave you guys a run for your money until I started picking Jacksonville and some other teams at the end. But, sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. But, yeah, I wasn't going to win my own prize. That would have been ridiculous.
But
still, I'm definitely hoping to get it rolling again next year. We're going to be sending out links for when it goes live and everything. I personally am glad that the Vikings are not part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame game this year. I know that the teams were chosen, and I saw that Minnesota was not one of them. So that made me happy.
That's good to hear.
I don't think another preseason game is the answer to anything. A lot of people think 4 is already too many.
Yep, you can add me to that list.
Yeah, but this year you're going to get Broncos-Falcons, so. And it's going to be all backups facing off against each other, so I hope everybody's ready for that. But it is going to be the first glimpse of NFL football in a while, so that should be exciting. But yeah, let's finish up this show. We're kind of rambling on a little bit. So again, go to our Facebook, our social media channels, like, share, subscribe. YouTube, tell your friends about us. Subscribe, hit that bell. You'll know when we're going live. We're going to try to go live on Wednesdays more often, as we've said. So try to pencil that into your schedule. We're hoping around 6:30 Central Time to make that happen. But if there's anything going on, of course, we'll try to let you guys know what's going on. Otherwise, that's all I've got for this week. And I do want to thank all you guys that joined us in the chat. We had a nice group of you guys in here talking and enjoying our conversation about football. And it's always nice just to have other Vikings fans to talk about the game with. So thank you guys for joining us here. Hopefully we can interact a little bit more on Facebook. And we didn't have a social media question, right?
We did, but we can add for next week because it's a free agency question. So get on over to the Facebook page and keep commenting on there. We've got 5 responses so far, but now that everything's going down.
We need more than 5.
Did we?
We definitely need more than 5.
Oh, yeah, we need more than 5 responses. They were great. It's a very interactive question. Who would you like to see now that free agency is kicked off and the new year is kicked off, who would you like to see the Vikings go after and why? Why is the biggest part? So get on over there and tell us who you think we should sign. We'll talk about it next week and we'll shout you out.
Everybody go on there and write Cody Parkey. Every one of you, write it.
Yeah, Cody Parkey.
Double doink, double doink, double doink.
All right, on that note, stay classy, Minnesota.